we're doing our best to keep it safe and free from harmful elements. So how do we ensure that your next visit here will be truly safe and memorable? Simple. We went back to our roots to find out what makes Okada Manila special. Okada Manila is grounded on Magokoro, or a true heart that's dedicated to service. Fusing the finest of Filipino and Japanese hospitality, we have built a world-renowned destination. Now, our core principle is put to action as we adopt a comprehensive system designed to keep you safe and healthy. This is our home, and we're doing our best to keep it safe and free from harmful elements. So how do we ensure that your next visit here will be truly safe and memorable? Simple. We went back to our roots to find out what makes Okada Manila special. Okada Manila is grounded on Magokoro, or a true heart that's dedicated to service. Fusing the finest of Filipino and Japanese hospitality, we have built a world-renowned destination. Now, our core principle is put to action as we adopt a comprehensive system designed to keep you safe and healthy. We call it 3T, which stands for True Clean, True Safe, True Heart. With True Clean, we use the leading edge in technology to sanitize critical areas, from UV robots to walk-through disinfection tunnels. We have even innovated in how well we sanitize the smallest spaces. With True Safe, you can be sure you are in good hands. Our people have undergone stringent training to adapt to the demands of the new normal, to think steps ahead, to respond to your needs before you realize it. While True Heart is the wellspring of these measures, it has allowed us to ensure that every act of service is done with commitment and grace, as well as inspiring us to develop innovations to further enhance safety, such as hygienic cashless transactions using Okada Pay. Indeed, every space in the property is enhanced with a gold standard in cleanliness and safety. The 3T system prioritizes your well-being, giving you unparalleled peace of mind. So that when we welcome you back, you'll find a sanctuary that is truly clean, where you'll feel truly safe, delighting you with service with a true heart. Always driven by our values, we know only of one thing: to give you a place that even in these challenging times, you can call your home.
New normal, same old story? Live the story you want at Okada Manila. Begin yours now. Experience a new chapter in Okada Manila's unwavering commitment to your total comfort, safety, and satisfaction. So, where do you want to begin? How about a marvelous meal for starters? A refreshing dip in the pool, perhaps? A well-deserved pampering is definitely in order. Ready for some shopping? Enjoy cashless transaction using Okada Pay. How about some fun and games? just wander around. Savor the sights. Get lost in the spectacle that is Okada, Manila. That is, if you can resist the temptation to just stay in. Do as you desire. It is your story, and it's going to be great. Because at Okada, Manila, there's one constant normal. This is where great stories begin.
Bright lights, city sights, shopping malls, little stalls, flip-flops, rock and roll, street smart, fine art, new and old, bronze, gold, warm, charm, hot and cold. Quick bites, foodie finds, nice smiles, wild style, cheap thrills, sky high, knick-knacks, welcome back. Every corner, fun, fun, fun. Manila, welcome back.
I just woke up from the time of my life. It started with a major throwback. Then I got to meet the big shots. I found a sweet spot between cultures and hung out with the artsy crowd. I even picked up a few things along the way. After that, things kicked into overdrive. It started with a whirlwind through the streets. And unforgettable eats. A celebration of flavor in every bite. And an epic new party at every turn. The best thing about it here, the good times are never over.
We had a deliberation before arranging with AIM about the seminar. First, we'd like to get a capability program for assets management sector, something about business development planning, and we arrived at getting this prestigious school with high standards and highly educated faculty. And my expectations are that they will deliver what is expected of them, that we will be given new knowledge, additional skills, and learning experiences based on their case method teaching, wherein we used our actual projects as case studies.
My experience so far has done me a very good insight into what we're into right now. Sabi ko nga, it should have come earlier than now, but there is nothing really delayed in everything. It's a wonderful experience actually for me and for my staff at corporate planning, because at corporate planning we're into everything. We should be a part of the whole organization in whatever it undertakes.
I actually hope that once we get back to our office, I would have a more dynamic, more creative team who would have a wider view of the business development side of our assets. As to the teaching approach in this workshop, to be honest, most of the participants were away from the academic sphere for quite some time. But I think the approach applied in this workshop is most appropriate. It's very open, and I'm happy that the participants or my employees have been very active in the discussions.
What do I think of the teaching method of AIM? It is the case method. I think it's very functional, very practical, and applicable to our tourism development projects. And we will start using this from now on.
It is also nice collaborating with the other departments, as we have known in this course, it is not only our department who is in charge of the tourism program.
Overall, it's a very insightful and a great learning experience for us, especially in the government sector. And I'm happy that I'm a part of it.
As a cultural worker of the City Government of Makati, I am very much appreciative of how AIM is equipping us with the right knowledge, skills, and the framework to actually deepen our understanding of Makati's tourism potential and working towards making that potential work for the development of Makati.
It actually helped me to mold my perspective in achieving goals and to become a better version of myself.
In the last 2019 elections, I ran on the platform of tourism, focusing on medical, business, and educational tourism in the city of Makati. AIM is definitely helping the city government of Makati achieve this through our tourism development plan.
Through this program, I was able to explore more, like thinking outside the box. I learned to be more creative in a way in terms of decision making.
So I'm very grateful for this experience. Definitely we will take home a lot from this course, and I just hope that there will be other opportunities in the future for public servants like me to interact with the academy.
In 2020, the pandemic challenged the tourism industry in more ways than one. But we can choose to make 2021 the year to turn it around. I'm Director Woodrow McKilling Jr., and on behalf of the Department of Tourism National Capital Region, I'd like to invite you to join the Leadership Excellence Series 2021, a 360-degree virtual learning experience happening on February 11, March 1, and March 17. In this highly acclaimed series, we guarantee that you will be equipped with practical and useful information vital for your business to thrive in this new normal. We believe in the power of your choice to improve, adopt, and innovate to make 2021 your greatest story of success. Majority of the stakeholders or the tourism enterprises are still closed at this point in time, especially here in the capital. That's really the reality, not just in the tourism industry, but across sectors, and not just in the Philippines, but across the world. For us in the Department of Tourism, we knew we had to adopt, we had to rethink our strategies, we had to pivot, and we have to remain resilient.
Good day to all of you, and we're happy to join the Department of Tourism in bringing you this learning series.
So the vision really for Leadership Excellence Series is to impart this certain degree of excitement. Everybody was giving all these webinars, but we thought we'd give them something else.
Us in the center and the Department of Tourism aim to actually equip the managers and the personnel of our tourism industry with the necessary skills to upgrade hospitality and outstanding service.
With Dr. Andrew Tan, Center for Tourism, we are very confident that the learnings that we impart to our stakeholders are, based on actual theories and achievable goals.
We believe that service and hospitality are the keys to success.
12% of the country's GDP is from tourism. And we account for 5.4 million jobs. We want to encourage more responsible tourists to travel because it's the only way we can bring up and take and lift the communities across the country. This afternoon's hybrid training program, featuring a 360-degree virtual learning experience, will definitely equip us with a new way to serve and satisfy the needs of today's tourists and industry stakeholders alike. Envisioned as a game changer in online learning experience, the Leadership Excellence Series traces its roots to the world-renowned TED Talk format. So sit back, learn from the experts, and together, let us make tourism our country's success story once more this 2021.
From Okada, Manila,
February 2021, and we have so much in store for you. We are so happy to welcome you to the most anticipated first installment of this year's Department of Tourism National Capital Region's Leadership Excellence Series, featuring a 360-degree virtual learning experience. You know, it is such an honor to be with you all once again. I am your Miss Tourism Worldwide 2018, Zara Carbonell, and I am so happy to be your moderator for today's hybrid program. Thank you so much for everyone who is tuning in, everyone here with us live, and everyone online watching, joining us for this 2-hour meeting of big ideas, intelligent discourse, and inspiring talks. We are coming to you live from Manila's grand icon and the new gold standard for 5-star luxury, the Okada Manila. We are broadcasting live in one of their safe event venues in this beautiful, beautiful grand ballroom under the new normal. The DOT NCR's Leadership Excellence Series, otherwise known as LES, traces its roots to the world-renowned TED Talks. This hybrid training program is brought to us live with our full live production here in Okada, Manila, and of course simulcast over Zoom and DOT NCR social media channels. That's at Tourism MNL on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and Tourism MNL on YouTube. We are also coming to you live over PTV4 and across the Presidential Communications Operations Office's Social Media Challenge. Once again, welcome. And true to our promise of a 360-degree learning experience is our 3D computer-generated imagery, or the CGI, and green screen technology, which is such a powerful tool, not just technically, but also for bringing people together and allowing us to comply with current restrictions such as social distancing. This third edition of LES aims to elevate Filipino hospitality to a top-notch level of 2.0. This will definitely be an exciting 2 hours with you, and we want to invite you to engage with us every step of the way. So please send in your comments. We would like to hear what you are thinking throughout this whole series. At the end of each topic, our speakers will be given 10 minutes to answer questions from our participants and, of course, our online viewers through the comments section in this live feed. So make your questions count by asking the best and your most interesting ones. You can also be a part of our conversation by hitting the like or the love button on Facebook, or retweeting our real-time live updates on Twitter every time you hear something that inspires you or even encourages you. And when you do so, please remember to use our official hashtags for today, hashtag LES2021, hashtag DOTNCR, and hashtag 360virtuallearning. All right, I know that we are all excited to get started, but just a quick run-through of the Leadership Excellence Series, or the LES. It is a set of powerful talks featuring some of the country's awe-inspiring thought leaders, captains of the industry, and influencers. Its maiden edition was held last July 24, 2020, and that was aimed to recharge and revitalize a COVID-19 stricken tourism industry by featuring 2 of the country's highly acclaimed motivational speakers and business gurus. The first was marketing mentor Josiah Go, and the second, a John Maxwell high-impact trainer, Francis Kong. Our second edition, meanwhile, was held on the 30th of October in 2020 with a focus on rebuilding and redefining business strategies in the new normal. Here we had the pleasure of having the multi-awarded millennial financial guru and best-selling author Jonathan Yabut, and top-ranked multinational speaker and one of 2 John Maxwell trainers, Mr. R.D. Abelio. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud to share with you that both the first and the second editions were record-breaking in the history of DOT's online learning programs, with over 1,000 registered Zoom participants and more than 1 million viewers across different social media platforms. You know, today we are so happy because we have received a total of 1,349 registrants. That's for Zoom alone. And we already have some 262 numbers on Facebook viewers, our viewers in YouTube as well. We are so proud to share with you that this is actually what we call a hybrid event. And yes, we are joined by a number, we have 30 live viewers here with us today. Hi everyone, good afternoon. In the venue, this truly is a testament to adapting to the new normal. And I know that everyone's so keen to get into it, so it is a distinct honor that we greet you a massive welcome in this year's Leadership Excellence Series 2021, a 360 virtual learning experience. We believe that this year will be a turn-around year for all of you, one where you can look back and say that yes, the pandemic was definitely a threat, COVID-19 was absolutely real, but we did not just survive through it, we thrived through it. In today's hybrid training program, we will be learning strategies from two key leaders who use their business innovations in this new normal to engage their customers well. These are leaders who did what they could to adapt, to innovate, to pivot, and to thrive. And because of today's topic, we will add one crucial word to this list, and that is to serve. Why? Because at the very heart of tourism is service to the people. We want to serve and serve you well. So without further ado, let us start off today's program with some inspiring words from our country's Tourism Chief, the Secretary of Department of Tourism, Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat.
Regional Director Woodrow Makiling Jr., DOT NCR Office, Mr. Andrew Rojas, Executive Director, Asian Institute of Management, Dr. Andrew L. Tan, Center for Tourism. Good day and welcome to the DOT Leadership Excellence Series 2021. This is the third edition of DOT NCR's hybrid training program featuring a 360-degree virtual learning experience. Last year, as the industry was struggling with the effects of the pandemic, our goal was to equip tourism frontliners with practical knowledge that would prepare them for business in the new normal and inspire tourism stakeholders to take an optimistic view of the future. In July, the webinar focused on the themes of recharging and revitalizing. Building upon that, the series moved towards rebuilding and redefining in October. Now that several destinations have safely reopened following stringent health and safety protocols, and many more are in the process of validation, we can finally say that the Philippine tourism industry has begun its road to recovery. We expect it to be driven initially by domestic tourism, including staycations and hybrid MICE events. With many establishments already up and running, we need to redefine the quality of service that tourism workers will provide. The theme of today's Leadership Excellence Series, and the first for 2021, is Filipino Hospitality 2.0. We will be asking the question, what are the ways we can satisfy the needs of today's tourists? Answering this question are our distinguished guest speakers and leaders from a wide range of industries, including Mr. George Reyeca, founder and chief transport advocate of Angkas and one of 10 outstanding young men awardees, and Mr. Martin Aguilar, founder and chief consultant at the Filipino Hospitality. I hope you will all enjoy today's presentation and take away valuable insights, which you can apply to your respective enterprises as we move forward, especially now that we are entering the era of vaccines. As the UNWTO proclaimed in their latest campaign, we restart tourism because standing still is not an option. Let this Leadership Excellence Series propel you towards sustainable growth and help you reach new heights, all while working together and supporting each other towards our common goal of restoring tourism for the benefit of the Filipino people. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay po kayong lahat.
There you have it. Thank you very much, Secretary Roman Lapuyat, for that very remarkable message of hope that the Philippine tourism industry has begun its road to recovery. You know, I particularly liked how Secretary Berna quoted the UNWTO's latest campaign saying that we restart tourism because standing still is not an option. Indeed, there is life after COVID-19, and tourism can become our country's economic turning point once more. Ladies and gentlemen, one pivotal question we will have to answer this afternoon is asked by Secretary Berna herself, and that is, what are the ways we can satisfy the needs of today's tourists? And among the most crucial needs we must address nowadays are the health and safety protocols of business establishments. This is very important because everyone's priority at the moment and always is safety, as it should be. Families ask, is it safe to go out already? Is it safe to eat in this restaurant? Is it safe to travel this way? Are there proper sanitary measures practiced by this establishment? And for business leaders and industry stakeholders, we have to know what we must do to safeguard our guests, our clients, and our customers away from any form of virus. This is also a safeguard for us and our service teams, because how can people be served if there is nobody serving the people? So to speak further on this topic, we have Mr. George Royeca, the founder and chief transport advocate of ANCAS, and a lead proponent for the government's Ingat Angat Tayong Lahat, the latter of which aims to help the country fight COVID. Mr. George Royeca is one of the country's key people in addressing the safety issues needed by the public and private sectors at this time of pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. George Royeca.
Thank you very much, Zara. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I'm very honored to be part of this series. You know, the 360-degree virtual learning experience that the DOT has done is, I think, something that's very spectacular. And I hope that everybody here, all of the tourism stakeholders, will learn a little bit of something about our journey, about our experience. You know, when I first got the call from DOT, I was a bit surprised because I'm in the transportation industry. But soon enough, I realized very quickly that, you know, all of us has had the same experience. We all are on the same storm, but different boats. But everyone's been affected with COVID. And I hope that the experience that I had in ANCAS will give you a little bit of insight on how it is to deal with a little bit of crisis. So my topic today is health protocols in the new normal. So just sharing my presentation. The slide is titled Crisis on Every Turn. So it's really about the entire ANCAS journey from when we started to where we ended up today. And it's a story of resilience, it's a story of perseverance, and talagang never stopping no matter how many crises you have in every turn. So let me start the presentation by talking about disruptive innovation. So this is very important because this is a buzzword that you hear everywhere, right? Disruptive innovation, you know that in certain aspects of our lives that we've experienced. Like, for example, Apple. We know now that Apple has changed the way we use cell phones. Netflix has changed the way we, you know, use or watch television. And of course, Uber, my favorite, changed the way we consume transportation. But what about innovation that happened 100 years ago that is commonplace now? So that's this next slide. So this is a picture of an ad, actually, that Rockefeller has put out against electricity. So yes, 100 years ago, electricity was a disruptive innovator. It was an innovation that displaced the old system of kerosene lamps. And imagine if, you know, this did not prosper, then we will be, you know, in this nice ballroom without any lights and, you know, smelling kerosene. But that's not all. Cars was a disruptive innovation back then. So before cars, there was the dune and buggy. In fact, when Henry Ford went to the Michigan Savings Bank the owner of the bank told him that this is a fad that will never pick up. But even as he prospered, there was a lot of bad press that came about the automobile. It was called the Devil's Wagon, and it had a lot of bad press, but he pressed on. And basically, that's what life is all about. It's about pressing on in times of adversity, in times of resistance, and when you're disrupting. And when you're disrupting something old and you're replacing it with a new innovation, new effective way of doing things, there will always be resistance. So, this picture I think is very familiar with everybody. So according to JICA, back then pre-COVID, we were losing billions of pesos per day due to the EDSA traffic. And this is what inspired the innovation that we put in for motorcycles, which is Angkas. And I think it's not just about the productivity, right? It was also about our standard of living. You know, the traffic was actually debilitating our society. It was attacking our way of life, our quality of life. You know, when you have to choose your friends because your friends, you know, is 10 kilometers away from you, but it would take 3 hours from Alabang to Quezon City to reach them. It was like a long-distance relationship within your own metropolitan. Choosing work, choosing places like going to school was, you know, limited by the amount of traffic that you would have to go through on a regular basis. So we decided to create Angkas, and this was actually an innovation on a very, very old way of public transportation or transportation in the Philippines, which was habal-habal. So we professionalized the industry, we put insurance, we trained the bikers, and we techified it. So we teched it up. You can book it now through the cell phone, through the smartphone app. And, you know, we were doing great. In less than 6 months of operations, we had, you know, 600,000 downloads, we had 16,000 bikers, and we're ready to expand to multiple countries. Little did we know, you know, what was in store for us moving forward. You know, it was an instant success, as I would like to call it. There was a lot of people that, you know, really found the value in being able to efficiently navigate through traffic. And it just gave them the power to do what they needed to do. You know, instead of 2 meetings a day, they were able to expand it to more interactions. They were able to go to places freely without having to think of where to park or how long they have to wait in line. So it was solving a real problem. Unfortunately, there was resistance, just like I said, any innovation. It was actually funny looking back. We got a cease and desist order from the LTFRB on Twitter, because we were so, you know, we were so good in our social media that all of our communications was in social media, and the government decided to communicate back to us. In fact, when I first saw this, you know, I thought it was a joke, honestly, but then it was very far from that. So the LTFRB went to our office, raided us, you know, and there was a public hearing the very next day to talk about the issue and the regulations of motorcycle taxi. And we knew that we were on, you know, very, you know, pioneering or new space, because nobody knew what the regulations were. Nobody, even the regulators themselves admitted that they really didn't know what jurisdiction we fell under. And so we discussed it, and in the meantime, while we were trying to figure out where Angkas was falling, unfortunately, we had to disappear from existence. And I call this actually our first opportunity. This was our first milestone in Angkas when we had to pivot very quickly. And, you know, this presentation is all about pivoting, and we had to innovate within our company to be able to stay alive. And I think this is something that everybody is doing right now, especially in the tourism industry where we are most hit. So we decided to do curbside delivery. So this was the very first pivot of Angkas. So while we were doing deliveries and we weren't really in transportation, we decided to try and figure out what was the issue, right? We tried to look at the core of the issues and why motorcycles back then was met with so much resistance. And then we didn't, you know the extent of the impact that motorcycles had in the Philippines. From a social weather station survey back in March 2018, this nationwide survey showed 1 out of 3 Filipino families owned a motorcycle, and about 50% of them depend on it for livelihood. And all of them, almost all of them, were part of the low-income family household. So we wondered, why was it that despite it affecting millions of our Filipinos, almost a third of our households, a third of our families, why was it met with so much resistance? And we went all around the Philippines and we saw what you just saw earlier in the slide. This was what was met. In fact, in the Philippines, there's only 3 regulations on the motorcycle safety law. The first one is you must wear a helmet. Yeah. The second one is you cannot have more than 1 passenger. And the last one is you cannot have any modifications on your motorcycle. And all of these 3 regulations were rampantly violated across the country. So then we went from government versus us, bad versus good, us versus them, to realizing where the government was coming from and why they were resistant in putting their blessing or giving their blessing with this new form of transportation. Because of these violations, 50% of all fatalities were coming from motorcycle-related accidents or motorcycle-related, accidents that were motorcycle-related in nature. So we decided to look at it from their perspective, and from then on, our mantra became that of safety, which will be the topic from that time all the way up to where we are today. And that pivot that we had, that realization we had, helped us in the coming days ahead. Little did we know how important safety was going to be for everybody, in a global scale. So from habal-habal, we coined the term motorcycle taxi. We professionalized the service. We market it as a safe and insured motorcycle taxi professional service. And we put together and unified the community. And it worked. We put together everybody, all the stakeholders, and in an overwhelming display of unity, thousands rallied behind us to be able to support on our path to legitimacy. We went through the formal channels, and we asked the courts if they could clarify the regulations in the position of Angkas, and we were granted an injunction, so we were allowed to operate. Unfortunately, the government went all the way to the Supreme Court, and this gave us our second innovation, or the second milestone, which was the second time that we were shut down. And remember, I always talk about our milestones. I always talk about our shutdowns as our milestones, because that is where we actually learn a lot and able to innovate and pivot and be able to exist or learn how to exist. So instead of going back on the streets, we thought very well on how we can communicate our unique value proposition and why we deserve to be on the road. And we realized that our safety record was 99.997%. So out of all the rides that we had on a daily basis, the thousands of rides we had a day, our accident rate was 0.003%. And this was one of the arguments we made to the Supreme Court. And because of this, as being so far away from the current numbers of 50% of all fatalities were coming from motorcycle accidents, we decided to create a campaign that was very, very Angkas in nature. So how do we now explain to regulators, to the public, on why we deserve to be on the road? So please watch this video. Yes, so that worked very well, Everybody remembered the condom campaign where we're safer than condoms. Safeguard got involved and other companies got involved also. And there was a petition online, and in just a week, we had about 150,000 signatures on our petition. And this got the attention of Congress and Senate. And then the House backed us for the resumption. The Senate backed us also to urge DOTR. We were then found ourselves working with government now. We turned around, the current mindset and changed it to working together. And then the government then decided to grant us a pilot study. So we were doing okay, right? We're doing great, which brings me to my, next milestone. So during this time, we trained more than 100,000 bikers, onboarded 30,000 drivers. We filled almost 70% of the people that trained with us, but it was for free. And we had 5 million downloads and boasted a 99.997% safety record. We were doing great. Unfortunately, life happens when you're making plans, and COVID-19 hit. So after several shutdowns, we were ready for yet the biggest milestone in our lives, the biggest shutdown, COVID-19. So this wiped out 99% of our revenues, 99% of our service. And so we decided to pivot. We had angkas padala, angkas pabili. And the first month, we already knew that this pandemic was going to take long, and we had to pivot very, very quickly. But then we weren't the big mammoth transportation service that we were back then. We were in a new space, and we weren't the best. We weren't number one. So what we did was we decided to take out our commissions for the sake of our bikers, and we decided to be honest and transparent to our community. We told them that we were small in this space. There were a lot of bigger players out there, better players like Grab and Lalamove. But then we were here to help our community, and it worked. The customers actually preferred Angkas over the rest because they knew that they were helping bikers in the process. We decided very quickly to work with the government. We engaged the UP College of Public Health. We engaged the IATF very, very closely and decided how do we now make Angkas, do we make motorcycle taxis safe again? So before Angkas came about in the Philippines, motorcycle taxis were non-existent. They were habal-habal. They weren't safe. They were regarded as very dangerous. Angkas came in. We made it safe. This was yet another challenge for us. How do we make motorcycle taxi service safe during the time of the pandemic? So we decided to create this shield, this barrier in between that would serve as a way to manage the violation of social distancing between the motorcycle biker and the passenger. We put it out, and the medical experts reviewed it, the IATF reviewed it. During the time of the MECQ, when the doctors and the nurses didn't have transportation to hospitals, we decided to give it away for free. We decided to give free rides. And after 10,000 rides, successful rides with doctors and nurses, and not a single report on a COVID case or not a single report of transmission or accidents, this took the eye of a lot of the mayors, a lot of the national government, the secretaries, and they started seeing that this could work. So this is our way of innovating during the time of COVID yet again to see how we can make ourselves more relevant. Now, during this time, everybody was on lockdown. Everybody was trying to figure out how to restart the economy. And then we, working with the IATF and the Department of Tourism, decided to come up with a major campaign to push consumers, to push the health standards, the health protocols to all the brands. So with another display of unity now amongst the different competing brands, we decided to create this campaign, which I, proudly co-led with Margot Torres of McDonald's Philippines and with the cooperation of the National Task Force and Secretary Berna of Department of Tourism. Maraming salamat, Secretary, for your support on this. I'd like you guys to watch again, if you haven't already watched, the Ingat Angat Tayong Lahat campaign.
Aangat tayo muli. Ito ang paniniwalang ating panghahawakan. Sa ngayon, pangamba at pagdududa ang pumipigil sa ating ibalik ang dating buhay. Pero aangat tayo muli. Dahil may isang bagay na hindi kayang kunin ng COVID sa atin. Ito ang ating pagiging matibay at determinado. Tayo ang lahing hindi natitinag ng bagyo, lindol, baha, at pagsabog ng bulkan. Paulit-ulit bumabangon, ilang beses mang gulpihin ng sakuna. Kaya, aangat tayo muli. Kakayanin natin muli ito. Sa palaging pagsuot ng mask at face shield, paghugas ng kamay, at pagpapanatili ng distansya, hindi mo lang inaalagaan ang iyong sarili. Kung hindi, pati na rin ang mga nakapaligid sa'yo. Sundan natin ang mga ito at magkasamang salubungin ang sikat ng araw sa mga paborito nating lugar. Walang kasiguraduhan ang mga darating na araw. Ang sigurado lang ay kapag isinapuso natin ang pag-iingat, aangat tayo muli. Ingat-angat tayong lahat.
And it worked. Because of this push towards reopening the economy slowly and safely, we were able to prove that transportation was not just an essential part of this ecosystem and this process, that we could exist during the time of COVID. And the IATF allowed us, and then again, DOTR allowed us with Congress and Senate's backing and the Cabinet unanimously voting for motorcycles to resume once again and provide service to our commuters. So we continue to fight, through crisis in every turn, through any type of adversity, we just keep pressing on so that we can turn this original habal-habal that showed the height of Filipino ingenuity, refining it to something that was safe, something that was, more professional, in the hopes that we could turn every single habal-habal, every single informal motorcycle to this. So, as my last slide, I'd like to share with you some key takeaways in the hopes that that will inspire you to do what you can to move forward and push on in your own business, being entrepreneurs or being an employee, trying to move past adversity. The first is life is always about problem solving. So it never ends. You know, instead of trying to figure ways to stop the problems from happening, learn to get better at solving problems, because the stakes will always get higher and the problems will always be there. The difference is how you actually react to these problems and how quickly you try to figure out how to solve them. You know, running a business is very hard. So if you're going to open a business, if you're going to run a business, if you're going to go back to your work, then aim to solve a real problem. And when you're solving a real problem, you'll realize that people will gladly pay you for it and people will support you left and right, because solving a real problem, you know, is something that, you know, we all have, we all aim to do, or we all need, you know, in our lives. And because of this aim that you have, the Philippines is the best place for you, because where there are problems, where there are challenges, there are always opportunities. And I can't think of another place, another country where we are ridden with challenges and also ridden with very, very big opportunities. Number 4, always remember this. I tell this to everybody who has a business, all the marketers, everyone. No matter how great your idea is, no matter how great your product is, nothing ever markets itself. You need to put on the time and effort to be creative and market. And the marketing today, the advertising today, that industry is very different from how it was years ago, even just a year or 2 years ago. The marketing today is not anymore a passive medium. There is social media. And social media is a two-way street. You get instant reaction from the audience. You don't have to wait 3 months for your TV campaign and your sales to lift or to pick up to figure out whether your campaign worked or not. In a day, you'll know. In a few days, you'll see if there's controversy or whether it was positive, the people reacted positively. So never underestimate your audience. When you're creating a relationship, you know, in social media, it's like creating a relationship with a friend. And, you know, it's not one-dimensional. So when you make a mistake, own up to it, apologize, move forward, and create that good relationship with your audience. Do not underestimate them, because they are not dumb. They are going through the same things that you are going through. They're people just like you. And last but not least, the sun will always rise tomorrow, all the time. No matter how big your problem is, no matter how global the scale of that pandemic or the issues and the adversity, the sun will always rise. The question is, what state will you be in tomorrow when the sun does rise? So when you get knocked down, you've seen us get knocked out left and right, got shut down multiple times before the pandemic, but all of that experience and adversity only made us tougher and gave us practice for the real shutdown, which was the actual pandemic itself. So all these years, all of our journeys, all of the government, all of our adversities was just prepping us for the real issue. And the problems will not stop from there. We're experiencing problems now while we are up and running. So remember, you get knocked down, it's not about that, it's about how quickly you get back up. So I hope, guys, that you continue to press on, you continue to move forward and push your agenda, push your advocacy, push your business, and move forward, inspire employees, because we need to get the economy back up and running. And I hope that this presentation has inspired you in some way to be able to move forward. Maraming salamat po, and good afternoon to everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. George Rieka. At this point, we will be entertaining questions from our live audience, if they have any, and of course, from our audience online. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for Mr. George Rieka, now is your chance to drop them in the comment section. If you're watching via Facebook, YouTube, of course, by Zoom, if you're watching through Zoom as well. You know what, Mr. George, I just wanna, can I throw out the first question?
Hi, Miss Sarah.
Okay, so my life goal is to come up with something that democratizes being an entrepreneur, right? But of course, through the pandemic, there are a lot of uncertainties that you face as an entrepreneur when you pivot. What advice would you give SME owners these days who are trying to pivot, but of course are also scared with everything that comes with it?
Just do it. Alam mo, lahat masakit, lahat nakakatakot. When you pivot, you always go to the unknown. But you never really know what the consequences will be, what the impact will be, what the implication will be if you don't do it. Sa ngayon, we are in the best time, best suited to be able to, really ride through this pandemic. Kasi there's so much platforms right now. Technology is everywhere. And you're working from home. Right? So you can do your work if you're an employee, and then you can create your own sideline entrepreneur business. And anybody can do it. If you're an SME, pivot now. Don't wait a month from now. It's not going to get any better. You need to create that mindset. You need to have that mindset. If you haven't already pivoted, you have to do it right away. And there's so much teaching tools out there. It's at your fingertips. Go to YouTube. You can learn anything.
Incremental augmentation, sabi nga nila, just do it and then adapt, adjust along the way. As it is a process, there is no magic.
Yes,
we
it
have
doesn't
to put
have to
in
be
the hard
perfect.
work.
No
Yes.
100% perfect product, right? You perfect it along the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, do we have any questions from our live participants here? Oh, we've got one from an online viewer. How often do your riders take RT-PCR tests, and what sanctions will incur when you are monitoring them? Do you give your drivers who remove masks and smoke in public?
We're
This
very
is from
strict.
Arlene Monteza. Go
We're
ahead.
very, very strict in terms of the health protocols. Even before that, safety protocols was the strictest for us. So we suspend and ban bikers if they violate these. Of course, that's in tiers. And we've, because of the safety record, this has proven to be very, very successful. We have a 0.003% accident rate. All of bikers go through RT-PCR testing. We are partnered with the National Task Force and the Philippine Red Cross. And you'll be seeing more partnerships with us later on with vaccines, inoculation, and whatnot. So we've really taken upon ourselves for Angkas bikers to be part of that community that would like to give back and help during this pandemic.
Absolutely, and we have seen them throughout the course of the pandemic. Angkas bikers were really there as frontliners. For that, we are forever thankful. Thank you so much. So again, RT-PCRs weekly? Did I hear that right?
No, we do it on a regular basis. So usually it's anywhere between 2 weeks and a month's time.
Okay.
But then we have, we work closely with the ITF to kind of work on whatever these regulations will be for that specific industry.
Understood.
Because the idea is, despite the RT-PCR tests, you have these health protocols that actually assume that the people that you're taking, the passengers, have COVID, and you're protected because of these health protocols. So we try to exercise that on a regular basis. We're very strict with it, and so far so good. We've, knock on wood, no wood here, but please knock on wood, everybody, the audience there have been no cases since.
Yes. All right, we've got another question from Edgar Ibanez. In your experience in operating Angkas, what was the top adversity you have encountered that helped you become successful in the industry?
COVID. I think that's the top adversity of everybody.
True.
And, it's just from left field. But like I said, it seems like we've been practicing for COVID since our existence because we just kept getting shut down. And, getting shut down is another day in the office for us. But, that really strengthened and gelled the team in terms of their resilience. And I know resilience it's been an abused word during this time of COVID, but I just can't stress that enough. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There are always ways, and you just gotta keep pressing on. No idea is stupid enough, small enough, crazy enough, dumb enough. Everything's on the table, and you just gotta keep hammering at it until you get it, and you will get there eventually. Everybody in the service community, the tourism industry, the stakeholders, you will get there eventually.
All right. Sabi nga ni Steve Jobs about those who are crazy enough to change the world are those who eventually do. So again, thank you so much. Do we have any last questions from our online viewers, our participants? Once, twice, none? Great. Thank you so much, Mr. George
Thank you
Furiega.
so much, Zara. And
We-
thanks, everybody.
Oh my gosh, it's an
You guys
honor
have a
to
good
learned from
afternoon.
you, yes. All right. So we shall now take this time. Oh, we've already asked the speaker our questions. See, because we are in this hybrid learning. So technology left and right, diba? Okay, so now I believe we are moving on to the next segment. We're moving on to the next segment. Hi po! All right, diba? So again, we are living through the new normal, so we have to depend on each other more. There you go. And that concludes the first part of our program. Thank you very much, Mr. George Furiega. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. There. Thank you for sharing your insights, experiences regarding the health protocols that we must follow and implement to ensure the safety of our customers and, of course, ourselves as well. We are honored to have learned from you. We are so honored. I'm happy to announce that one of our partners, the Andrew L. Tan Center for Tourism, will be holding an academic program in the months April and May. We would like to invite those from national agencies, local government units, and other academic and tourism research institutions, as well as the private sector, to join this program called Bootstrapping, a Sustainable Future in Tourism online program. There you go. The objective of this bootstrapping is to help tourism organizations and enterprises reboot from the pandemic. Participants in this program will be capable of thinking strategically about how to recalibrate their strategies. This will also help them identify key requirements for the successful implementation of these redefined strategies. So for inquiries, please contact the Andrew L. Tan Center for Tourism. Enroll now and learn how to run your own business in the new normal. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned as we have prepared a documentary feature as proof of concept and synthesis of our first topic and an introduction to our next discussion. The documentary will come in 3 parts, with the first in the series being shown today. So let us watch the first part of the feature on To-Go Travel's efforts in adapting to the situation under the pandemic while still contributing to national tourism development. Ladies and gentlemen, please watch this.
To-Go Group is the Philippines' largest integrated transport and supply chain company. We are currently in Manila Pier 4. At the back of us, at the background, is one of our ships. It is the St. Leo the Great. This particular vessel goes to Bacolod, Iloilo, Cagayan, Puerto Princesa, and Coron. Being a travel company, apart from our transportation and logistics solutions, our financials were particularly hit because travel had to be suspended, rightfully enough, to prevent the spread of the pandemic and, of course, to flatten the curve.
Before pandemic, we normally have like 2 trips for each vessel per week. You multiply that by 5, we have at least 10 voyages in a week. But with this pandemic, we only have limited voyages to come.
Since nag-umpisa yung pandemic, na-reduce yung voyages namin dahil kaunti na lang pasahero.
Offices-wise, we were quickly able to cope. We activated our business contingency planning and business contingency management. So To-Go operated throughout the pandemic. It is very important for To-Go to operate because we brought home tens of thousands of OFW seafarers. We also brought home those stranded Filipinos. So we connected them back to their families.
We made sure that we are of help for the Filipino people and that we support the government agencies here in the Philippines.
Early on in the pandemic, in April and in May, together with the Department of Transport, her attached agencies such as PPA, Marina, and Philippine Coast Guard, we actually did a project where we used quarantine ships Our ships, two of them was used to temporarily house the OFWs and the seafarers. We took the time to take a strategic pause to actually look at our processes, look at our people, look at our systems, and we did improve those while we were in the midst of the pandemic.
We managed to come up with the solution, with policies, procedures, in order to make the vessel safe.
Lagi kaming kumukuha ng body temperature. Ginawa namin yung health protocol na social distancing. At saka naglilimit kami ng mga visitors on board.
We've actually looked at creating a product starting out from Batangas going to Katiklan that connects travelers that want to stay in Boracay. So I think the point is to innovate, to look at particular niches where your business can thrive. Reading one of the surveys that was done by the Department of Tourism and the Asian Institute of Management, they were pointing out that there's actually a pent-up demand for travel. Once the vaccine has been widely propagated, once it's safe, once we can restart non-essential travel, the economy will open up, and I'm thinking and I'm hoping that Q4 or this 2021 Christmas will be a better time for travel.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the DOT NCR Leadership Series. Yes, Leadership Excellence Series 2021, a 360-degree virtual learning. My name is Zara Carbonell. For those of you who have just jumped in, of course, we are so happy to be here with you again. Please do follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's at Tourism MNL. On YouTube, that's Tourism MNL also. We are coming to you live from Okada, Manila and simulcast over Zoom. For those who want to retweet all the live updates, please use our official hashtags for today. Hashtag LES2021, hashtag DOTNCR, and hashtag 360 virtual learning. As of 3:15 this afternoon, we already have 420 Facebook viewers. Hi to everyone. And we're so happy that each and every one of you are here with us this afternoon. So to recap, what you have just seen in this short documentary was To Go Travel. To Go Travel is a truly encouraging story of adaptability and innovation in this pandemic. Just like them, we believe that other businesses too can adapt to the new normal, pivot, and use this crisis and turn it into success through innovation and service. You know, it is very refreshing to see key players in the industry really taking part of the situation, taking steps forward, and seeing our country open up for tourism once again. Let us not forget that as a nation, we rise as one, we rebuild as one, and we serve as one. I know everyone is keen to get to know the next speaker, so to speak about the Filipino brand of service excellence, let us welcome our next speaker for this afternoon, Mr. Martin Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar is the ASEAN Master Assessor, founder and chief consultant of the Filipino Hospitality, a consultancy group made up of ASEAN and national master trainers and assessors. Mr. Aguilar has provided consultancy and training services for the Department of Tourism and Technical Skills Development Authority, or TESTA, as well as numerous private companies. Let us give the floor to Mr. Martin Aguilar.
All right, thank you very much, Zara, for that wonderful introduction. For those watching online, can we give a shout out, a thumbs up, a like, and a heart button for Ms. Zara for doing a good job so far? Can we see that in the comments down below? Yes? All right. So first of all, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning wherever you're watching this from, whether live or on demand. Thank you very much for joining us for this Leadership Excellence Series that the Department of Tourism has been conducting in the past few months, even since last year, right? And so, first of all, I just want to acknowledge, of course, Secretary Berna Romulo Puyat, Undersecretary Robbie Alabado, of course, our Regional Director for DOT NCR, RDRR Woodrow Makiling Jr. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the rest of the Department of Tourism, of course, for positive exposure for this wonderful event. It's so good to be back finally in an actual destination. You know, we've been conducting trainings all over the Philippines and across ASEAN, and I wasn't even able to leave my home, right? So we're so used to this virtual background, and I thought that, okay, we're going and we're heading over to a world-class destination, which is Okada, Manila, and I found myself back at the green background, all right? So I guess I couldn't really escape it, okay? So, well, my topic for this afternoon is going to be about Filipino hospitality 2.0, right? So here, I'm going to share with you, and we're going to learn a little about what we call the Filipino brand of service excellence. Now, the Filipino brand of service excellence is a training developed by the Department of Tourism, of course, promulgated by no other than the Office of Industry Manpower Development. And we've been conducting this training for the past few, years already across the country. Now, for your information, just to share with you, the Filipino brand of service excellence is actually a 2-day training, 8 hours per day. So I will do my best to share it with you in 30 minutes, all right? So I hope, are you ready now? Are you ready to go? Are you ready to learn? Yes, can I see the thumbs up, the hearts, right? Can you type there, go, let's do it? All right, thank you very much. So let's get on with the topic, right? So as mentioned, our topic is going to be about Philippine Hospitality 2.0. Now, when you see 2.0 or version 2.0, one cannot help but think, is there a version 1, right? Was there ever a need that we had to upgrade, that we had to update ourselves, right? So why do we now, or why are we going to version 2.0 for 1.0, right? So one would think that. Now, in terms of updating, right, we're all familiar with that. We all have our mobile phones, we have our tablets, we have our laptops, right? And at some point, we have experienced, upgrading or updating our software. Now, why do we need to do that for the Filipino hospitality? Our service, why do we need to do that, right? So there is a reason, and hopefully within this afternoon, we're going to understand why. All right, so let's go on and go ahead. Now, we know what happened during the pandemic. We know the situation, right? We've been hearing it, right? World Health Organization, UNWTO estimates about 80 to 120 million people at risk losing their jobs. In fact, we don't even have to go far, right? We've seen announcements in social media, in the national news, like, for example, the Philippine Airlines had to let go, 2,300, 30% of its manpower. In fact, we are here in Okada, Manila, and like a few months ago, we've also saw a press release that they had to let go even up to 1,000 of their staff. And that is so hard. That is undeniable. We know the impact the COVID-19 situation has given us, especially, I think more than anyone else, the tourism industry. It has been difficult for us, and we know that, right? And so what do? Are we just going to accept it, right? As Mr. George Royeca mentioned earlier, are we just going to stand down and just give up? No, we have to rise above the challenge. We have to go forward. And that is what we want to happen, right? Okay, so we believe that recovery is ahead. It is just ahead. We know that. And we hope, we continue to hope and believe that it is just around the corner, right? Destinations are starting to open up, right? And we've been hearing a lot of our local tourists, even international tourists, all excited to travel once again. In fact, there is a buzzword happening, and it's called revenge travel, right? Where everyone's just, plotting out their bucket list. They all want to travel already. Who wants to travel? What about you in the Zoom or in the chat box? Can you type in the chat box where you would like to go next? Yes, can we request maybe the tourism offices and the regional offices of the Department of Tourism are watching with us, and maybe they're going to open these destinations? Can you type there where you want to go? Everybody wants to go already, right? I personally want to travel already. But we know that tourism is going to happen again. But what kind of preparation are we doing now, right? As often as they always say that preparation is key. Very important is preparation. They always say that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so what are we going to do now as we are preparing for tourism recovery? What are we doing now if, say, for example, you lost your job, or for example, you lost opportunities right now because of the pandemic? What are you doing right now in order to alleviate, in order to improve your situation? And so we have to maximize our time. Based on the previous or the past trainings that we've been conducting for the Department of Tourism, we mentioned that we need to maximize the time, right? So we have to do whatever it takes for us to prepare ourselves. Now, the question is with you, what are we currently doing, okay? Now, there are so many destinations all excited to open up, right? There are so many options available. Now, how can we differentiate ourselves? We in the Philippines are so proud that we have 7,000 plus islands, right? We're so proud of that. We're often called the world's best destination. We have the best islands, the best beaches, right? We have the natural resources, right, to be proud of. But so do the other destinations, right? So how can we really differentiate ourselves? We have to think about that, right? Because there are so many options, right? Let's not even go far. Let's look at the provinces. Let's look at the municipalities, right? Let's look at the regions, right? A lot of our tourists, even the local tourists, are looking at going to and from a destination. Now, the question is, how do you differentiate yourself, right? Okay, so I hope we get to think, right? Now, in terms of branding, right? We've been thinking about branding our tourism professionals, right? In fact, the training that the Department of Tourism has been conducting is called the Filipino Brand of Service. Now, why do we need to brand? Why do we need to establish that, yes, our service is different, that there is a unique kind of Filipino way of doing things? Why? Right? What is branding anyway? Right? So, in terms of branding, right, we get to understand the elements of it, right? In terms of branding, there is design considerations, right? When you brand something, you also have to look at the logo, right? What would be the marketing initiatives? What would be the campaign, right? What are the different values that your brand carries, right? How do you establish trust, and what kind of identity do you have so that you can differentiate yourself? So all of these elements are considered. Now, going back to the original question, why do we need to brand the Filipino service, right? So this is a picture of a typical Filipino home, right? And whenever I think about a home, right, you always think, how do you, maybe I can ask you this, and please write it in the comments down below if you can relate to this. Type in, I can relate, okay, if you can relate to this. How do you welcome people at home, right? So I remember whenever we have guests at home, you always do your best. You always give your best, isn't it, right? You try to bring out the best plates that you have. You try to serve the best food that you can come up with. In fact, even Filipino, this is, I don't know if you can relate, but it's typical Filipino, like even if you have none already. Even if you don't have any money, you go, beyond your means to borrow money just to make sure that you give the best experience. Can you relate to that, right? And that is called the bisita sa bahay concept, right? Where, you acknowledge and you welcome the guests with open arms, with everything that you have, just so they can have a memorable experience, just so they can enjoy their time at your home, right? And so that is uniquely Filipino, right? That is natural for us whenever we accommodate our guests. Now, I'm going to share with you the gesture called Mabuhay gesture, all right? So this is the signature Mabuhay gesture of the Filipino brand of service excellence training, and I'm going to share with you guys what it means first before we all do it, okay? All right? Okay, so first of all, as you can see in the picture, by the way, this picture is from Legend Villas. My stint in the Legend group of companies actually gave the core foundation of my Bisita sa Bahay concept, all right? So just to acknowledge that. So first, you see that the lady, right, the receptionist, the frontliner, is having her hand on her chest. And why do you think she is doing that? Is there a specific reason? Is she holding her heart because it hurts so much? Because Valentine's is just around the corner? I hope not. No, ouch. Can you type in the chat box, ouch? If you can, kung meron kayong hashtag hugot for that. Okay, so if you can, relate to that, please, do not share your sob stories anymore. Anyway, all right, so the lady, the frontliner, right, is having her right hand on her chest. Now, the hand is actually symbolic of one's what? Service, right? Service is usually, of course, provided through the hands, right? You use your hand to serve, right? So service is representative of, the hand is representative of service. Now, why do you think that lady, or why are we teaching our frontliners to hold their hearts? Because we want to express in non-verbal manner that service is from the, can you type in the comment? If you're correct, I think the Department of Tourism will be checking who is the most involved, engaged, and they're going to give out freebies. I don't know, I'm not sure if they are really, but please go ahead and type it. Yes, if you said that they're doing it because they want the service to come from their heart. Very good, right? So service from the heart, right? That is the reason why we would like to encourage our frontliners to do that. Now, as you mentioned, right, whenever I do that, I do a slight, what's that? Bow, right? In different cultures, bowing is a sign of, can you type there in the chat box as well? Respect. Very good, no? If you are able to type that, respect. It means it's a sign of respect, right? So what we do, we look at that guest right in the eye with our right hand on our chest with a slight bow, look him in the eye, smiling, and we say, Mabuhay. All right? So can we all do it? If you're there at home, if you're there in social media or at Zoom, can we go ahead and do that? Right? Can we all just look at the camera. Please turn on your cameras. We want the Department of Tourism, the organizers, take a picture of everyone, doing the Mabuhay gesture. Can we all please go ahead and do that? Okay, can you turn on your cameras? Are we all set? Are we ready? Let's go ahead and try it. Okay, so first, with our right hand, look at the camera, okay? Because the camera is representative of the eyes of the guest, okay? So look at the eyes of the guest with your right hand on your left, and then we're going to slight bow, and then we're going to say, Mabuhay, all right? We're going to do it once again in a count of 3. In 3, 2, 1, and Mabuhay. Very good. Thank you very much. Can you give yourselves a digital round of applause, right? Give us a thumbs up, a heart please. If you did that, congratulations, very good. And that is the Mabuhay gesture. It's a simple gesture, and it's something that we're trying to teach all over the Philippines. Why? Because we want it standardized. We want it na if you visit, for example, the hotels here in NCR, if you go to Mindanao or if you go to the Visayas, you go to a hotel or a resort and they welcome you there, it's different that if you feel, that same feeling, having that welcome. And so, by the way, just to check, why do we even say mabuhay? Do you know? Can you write in the comment section why we say mabuhay? Alam mo namang mamatay, di ba? So, syempre, di ba? We say mabuhay because, of course, it is basically saying that long live, mabuhay ka, no? Right? More fruitful life, more happiness for you, right? So that is that. All right? So thank you very much. I hope, and we're looking forward to you doing that as well in your own organizations, all right? Whether you're in the hotel, resort, travel agency, transport business, whatever, please, we encourage you to do the Mabuhay gesture, okay? All right, so thank you very much. Now, the Filipino brand of service excellence, just to really go into the meat of things, the Filipino brand of service excellence explains its social, cultural, environmental, economic value and importance, right? So there is really a whole lot more than just the Mabuhay gesture. In fact, later, we're going to be studying the 7 M's of the Filipino values, and we're going to understand that, hey, there is more to it, that this is really more holistic than we just thought. Right? So it's not just about the smile, it's not just about the greeting, but it's a whole different incorporation because it is holistic, right? It goes to the very deep down innate culture, history of our beings as Filipinos, right? So what is service excellence? Let me go ahead and define that first. So service excellence is the pursuit to consistently meet and surpass the guest needs and ultimately provide them with a memorable and fun experience. Now, I just want to highlight, right, in these keywords, consistently, right? Consistent. You have to be consistent. It cannot be that you only do that whenever you feel like it, right? If you're in a good mood, if hindi kayo nag-away ng boyfriend mo, right? And that's the only time that you're going to be providing good service. It's not that. When we say consistent, it has to be every single time, all the time, all right? So that is consistent. Now, surpassing the guest needs and expectations. Your guest, our tourists, whenever they go to a destination, they have certain expectations, am I right? Right? So they have expectations, they have needs. And so what we want to do, what we ought to do, is not just to meet the expectations, but really to exceed expectations. And that is excellence, ladies and gentlemen, right? So that is what we want to aspire for, something that is memorable and something that is fun. Why fun? Why? Because it's more fun in the Philippines, right? It's not just a slogan. It's not just a marketing idea that we want, right? We wanted to make it a reality for our guests, that they indeed will have an unforgettable experience in your destinations, in your hotels, in your resorts. Okay? All right. Now let's talk about the 7 M's, right? We discussed about the 7 M's of Filipino values. And then later, we're going to share how are we going to actually apply these in practical terms, okay? So the 7 M's, let's go ahead and check the first M. The first value, or the first M, is makamay likha, right? Who is your may likha? Sino nga ba, right? Ang may likha, right? So may likha, I'm not talking religion here, okay? We have a variety of beliefs, no? Some consider their mailikha or their God, right? They have what? Allah with them? They have Bathala? I don't know, right? Whatever your core belief is, whatever your faith is, it is all about the respect for the divine providence. It's about, having that spiritual being, having that higher being above us, right? And it's the recognition of that, right? And so we, in our daily lives, in our operations, we have to be honest. We have to be truthful in all of our dealings with the guests, with our co-employees, with our bosses, right? We ought not take advantage of them, right? Because we know that even if our boss is not looking, even if the law implementers, right, whoever is, out there, yeah, you know that someone is seeing you or can see you, right? So it is having that conscience, it is having that acknowledgement that, there is a higher being. And so we have to constantly do the right thing all the time. Okay? So there you go. So that's our first value. Now, the second value is makatao. No? Ano ba ang pagiging makatao? Right? So, makatao speaks to us about hospitality. It speaks to us about being family-oriented, right? It talks about our interpersonal relations and our sense of belongingness, right? And I think this is very natural for us Filipinos, right? It is normal for us na makitao, right? Lagi tayong nakikisama, lagi tayong nakikipagkapwa-tao, right? And so this value is really innate in us, no? So we respect and we treat our guests as if they are members of the family, and they deserve it, right? Your guests, our tourists deserve the best service for patronizing your business, right? Okay, so actually, ang pagiging makatao, we've seen this, right? We've seen this happening especially during the pandemic, no? Yung ating pakikipagkapwa-tao, we were there even if, things were hard for us, no? We've seen people really going out of their ways, organizations offering their businesses, right? Their resources just to help out, right? By the way, I'm part of an organization. It's called Junior Chamber International, and I'm part of a chapter. It's called JCI Alabang, right? And I remember in our creed, right, where it's mentioned that the service to humanity is the best work of life, really. And that should be our core. We have to constantly hold on to that burden, to that responsibility that we're not just living life for ourselves, right? That we are here for other people as well, right? So I hope that we can incorporate that value in our daily lives, okay? All right, so now for the third value, we have makakalikasan, all right? So ano ba ang makakalikasan, okay? So makakalikasan is going to be about or speaking to us about stewardship, right? The Filipinos as stewards of the environment. Now, it's very important to understand this, that we have a responsibility to preserve and conserve the natural resources and cultural heritage of our country. All right? So, in fact, that's one of the reasons why our tourists go here to the Philippines, di ba? Because indeed, we have the best resources. We have the nicest beach, waterfalls, right? Rivers, no? Everything that you can think of, it's all over our country. But really, we have to take care of it. That's why nowadays we're really pushing towards sustainable tourism, right? We want to understand and we know the effects of over-tourism in the past, but now everybody's scrambling to get tourists in their destination. But I hope, as we continue now to open our destinations, I hope that you always keep in mind that preserving our natural resources, taking care of the environment should be of our utmost priority. All right, do you agree? Yes, can we see a thumbs up in social media? All right, thank you very much. Okay, in fact, you know, we know the impacts of not taking care of the environment, right? So if somebody decides to just, what, eat from the environment, like eat an animal, we know that was the core effect because of the pandemic, right? So, you know, we really have to take care of our environment, okay? Now, for the fourth value, our fourth value is called makabansa. Okay, I'm not going to be here, no, it's not just about the Philippine flag pin. I'm not gonna be here to sing the national anthem, right? So, ano ba ang pagiging makabansa? Kailangan pa bang mamatay bilang bayani? Kailangan pa bang barilin sa luneta para ma-consider that you are makabansa? No, you don't have to, right? So, ano po ba ang pagiging makabansa, right? So, when we say makabansa, right, it talks about nation building, right? And we know that it is everybody's business. No? We often hear this saying, tourism is everybody's business, right? Am I correct? Do you agree? It is not just the sole role of the Department of Tourism, your provincial tourism office, your municipal, your city tourism office. It is not just their responsibility. It is everybody's business. And nation building is everybody's business. Kailangan po nating tulungan ang ating bansa. And so we have to stop, right, criticizing the government. We have to, you know, stray away from all the politicizing. We just have to go ahead and hold each other's arms, hands, and, you know, do whatever it takes to help us rise once again. And that is something that you need to do from here on onwards, right? So how do we do that? In practical terms, of course, you know, how do you support your national government? Of course, first and foremost, respect your laws, follow them, ensure that our guests, no, especially in the local destinations, are observing the laws, the protocols, especially now during this pandemic, right? And so I just have to comment, by the way, here, we're here in Okada, Manila, and the protocols really are very strict, right? And so I appreciate that. I hope that we are not taking this very lax, no? You know that this is a serious thing, and so safety, of course, is our utmost priority. And I hope, you know, that we can support our government in our campaign, in our drive against COVID, you know, ensuring our health and healthy protocols, at the same time, you know, supporting local businesses. And that is the best way that you can support our government. Of course, no, when you support local businesses, right, when you support local manufacturers, suppliers, your local travel agency, right, your local tour operator, your local tour guide, you give them livelihood. And that is one way for us to support and help our country, right? Because it all trickles down, it snowballs. That's what's beautiful about tourism. It's a domino effect, right? Whatever we do, right, it's a domino effect to or towards nation building, okay? Now, the fifth value is masayahin. And I don't think I need to explain a lot with this, right? Masayahin, right? Because I think this is very natural for us. No? We're all very masayahin as a people. Do you agree? No? Can you write in the chat if you agree? Can you just type in agree or yes? Right? So we're all masayahin, no? In fact, sobrang masayahin natin. Ngayon lang ako nakakita na even on a pandemic, even if nasunugan, nagkaroon ng earthquake, binagyo, we can still have that, you know, natural tendency to laugh it off, right? And I don't see anyone doing that other than the Filipinos because we are so resilient. We're so used to all of these things, no? So that's very natural for us. Now, The Philippines, the Department of Tourism specifically, has been campaigning our slogan. And what is that? Can you write in all caps there in the chat box? What is it? It's what? More fun in the Philippines, right? It is more fun. Do you believe that? You have to, right? But it's not, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just about saying it. It's making it a reality, right? So never underestimate the power of the smile, right? Okay, what happens is, like for example, you're in a hotel, no? You see a guest and you see a guest walking in front of you and you smile, right? What happens? What is the reaction of that guest? Normally, he or she would also smile. That is correct, right? Because smiling, has that, I guess, reactive, affective effect where it is impossible for you not to smile back unless siguro you're really having a bad day, But really, naturally, if somebody smiles at you, more often than not, the person would also smile back. And so never underestimate the power of the smile. Now, in terms of using humor, I don't know about you, no? For the hoteliers, for the restaurateurs here, or watching us live, right? I don't know about you, but humor has always been effective for me during my operational stint. Do you agree? Yes? Pinapatawa niyo rin ba yung mga guests nyo? They like it, no? And that is one way for you to really get to know and break that, sometimes, diba, there's a wall, right? And, using humor is one way for us to make them feel comfortable, right? And that is very natural for us Filipinos. Yes, do you agree? Right? So, using humor, smiling, pagiging masayahin is really very important for us frontliners, right? And it's something that we can do in our daily lives as well, okay? So let's take a look at this picture, no? This picture, I don't know if you've seen this, but, nurses, right? Our frontliners in the healthcare industry, even if the pandemic, even if the situation is very difficult for them, they still have that light, positive, a sense of being where they, decided to wear that very colorful outfit, PPE, and, still try to remain positive as much as they can, right? And I don't know about you, if you've read this, if you were able to read this as well, but I've seen this message, right? Ang sabi dun sa nag-viral na message, no? Nakakapagod din pala mag-vacation sa iba't ibang panig ng bansa. Tulad ng North Quarto, South Cocina, Sala City, at ang pinakahuli ay sa Banyo Beach. Diba? Kasi we were all stuck at home, we were all so bored, nothing to do. And, our people just decided to just take a laugh and, try to be positive of the situation. And, at the end of the day, sometimes that's the only thing that we can do, right? Pandemic, the COVID-19 situation made us realize that, we are really just very small. There is really not much that we can do. And so what do we do about it? We can smile about it, right? Just to make sure that we are still okay, all right? Now, for the sixth value, our sixth value is called May Bayanihan. Now, when we hear this word, Bayanihan, what picture comes into mind when you hear Bayanihan? For me, when I hear Bayanihan, I remember our people, from the provinces, for example, when they help each other carry what? Their homes, di ba? Kasi naglilipad sila, yung bahay kubo, ililipat in a different location, right? And so nagpapatulong sila with their dun sa kanilang mga neighbors. Now, can you please translate, in the chat box, can you write the English translation of May Bayanihan? Can you please go ahead and do that? Merong reward kung sino ang makakabigay or makakapagsabi ng English translation ng May Bayanihan. I believe there is none, right? Because May Bayanihan in itself is very unique to us Filipinos, no? I don't see, I guess, other cultures, going to their neighbor and saying, "Wait, can you please help me carry my house?" Di ba? I don't think so, right? Tapos walang bayad, papakapihin ka lang or papameriendahin ka lang, right? So, the bayanihan spirit really comes from the word bayan and bayani, and together, bayanihan, right? So that is the real core of that. And every action leads to an impression. Now, if we don't work together and assist one another, then we might miss the better opportunities for the tourism industry. Alright? So, kailangan po nating magtulong-tulong. Our government, the Department of Tourism, all of the tourism stakeholders cannot do it alone. We all have to help each other. And so, we really have to do whatever it takes for us to help each other. And more than any time else, this time, this pandemic, and as we prepare for tourism recovery, this is the best time that we help each other. All right? So can we do that? Can we support local businesses, your local tour operators, travel agencies, and your local destinations? Huwag na muna tayong mag-isip lumabas, no? Suportahan po na natin at mahalin natin ang sarili nating bayan. All right, very good. So thank you very much. We have to really work together for a better, brighter Philippine tourism industry. And this is how you become a tourism hero. This is a true bayani. Okay? Now, for our last value, and certainly not the least, is may pag-asa. Right? And I was so inspired when I was watching the video that George showed us earlier, right? Because really, it gave us this, no? Pinakita sa atin na merong pag-asa, that recovery, that, businesses, that hope is just around the corner. In fact, it's here all along, right? So lahat po tayo, dapat tayo merong pag-asa. Now, we should never give up. Having pag-asa, lagi natin tong naririnig, no? It's a usual saying for us Filipinos na habang may buhay, may pag-asa, right? Because, it's a familiar line. As I mentioned earlier, we've been through a lot of crisis, pandemic, earthquakes, fire, typhoons, whatnot. Right? We've been through a lot as a people, and we always go and bounce back. It is just a matter of time, right? And so we have to hold on to hope. We have to hold on to our faith. All right? So yan po ang may pag-asa, and those are the 7 M's of the Filipino brand of service excellence. I hope that when the Department of Tourism, shares that they are going to be holding another Filipino brand of service excellence training in your region, whether you're from NCR, from the Visayas, from Mindanao, please go ahead and attend that training. We have so many good Filipino brand of service excellence trainers. If you are there, if you're watching, if you're a FBS trainer, can you say hi, right? And I want to give a mabuhay salute to you because you guys, everyone, are really doing a great job. At lagi nating sinasabi yan, #para sa bayan, right? So thank you very much for your service. Now, just to sum it up, who is this Filipino brand of service excellence for? It is for everyone. It is not just for our frontliners. It is not just for the tourism stakeholders. All of these things, if we're going to really look at it at the very core, we understand that it is applicable to our daily lives as well, right? So the Filipino brand of service excellence, that attitude, that motivation, that decision to really do things surpassingly, exceedingly, at the very best that you can, it is something that we can all do on an everyday basis, all right? Okay, now, what is it We were able to define what is the Filipino brand of service excellence. We were able to highlight the 7 M's, our Filipino values, right? So we get to understand more about ourselves, and I hope that you are able to really understand why we need to do it, right? So the 7 M's are actually guiding posts for us to go ahead and prepare, right? Because again, as I mentioned, tourism recovery is just around the corner, right? Everyone is, dying to travel once again. And so I hope that you find your why, that you continue to hold on and believe, right, that things are going to be better, right? And so we're going to be doing it together for the better, right? Now, where is it applicable? Everywhere, right? So it's not just limited to, again, your professional career, even with your daily lives as well, right? Manakita po natin itong mga Filipino values, the excellence na lang the attitude of excellence is something that we can do in our daily lives as well. When are we going to do it? I think now is the best time. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when the vaccines come. Today is the day that you start, holding on to that hope. That you start to decide that, yes, I still have my dreams, I still have my goals, I still have everything, in front of me. Things right now might not be ideal for you, but you continue to hold on, again, to that hope and belief that things will be better someday soon. All right? So I just want to end with this. Things get harder when you level up. Remember that, right? So as we move forward, right, we know we're starting to feel the economy is starting to improve, right? We know and start to see that destinations are starting to open. And so we know, right, that tourism recovery is just around the corner. But do believe this, do expect this, right? That it's not going to be easy still, right? There are still, as George mentioned earlier, he saw challenges, issues as opportunities. They even saw it as milestones. And so let me ask you this, what would be your next milestone? All right, so with that, thank you very much. I would like to, again, thank you, the Department of Tourism, for an honor, and I hope that we learned something today. Thank you very much.
There you go. Thank you so much, Mr. Aguilar, for all those insights. We can truly start implementing them in our own businesses. So at this point, we will take the time to answer some questions from our viewers. Of course, if there's anyone in the live audience who wants to throw in a question, it is very much welcome as well. So, our first question is here. It is from Melody Palomares. Ayan. So the question is, what approach and advice can you give to travel agents who are being harassed by their clients due to the unforeseen circumstances like refunds due to COVID?
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Melody Palomares, for that question. Now, it's really challenging. We have to understand why they're disappointed. Are they disappointed at you as a travel agent, or are they disappointed because of the situation, right? So I believe it's really just a matter of explanation. It's a matter of being there. Sometimes the challenge is we have a long time to reply. You don't really get back as based on their expectations. And so that is one of the reasons why our guests are angry. But if you do your best, if you, as much as possible, at the very best that you can do, right? If you try to get back at them and try to inform them, right? The status of the request, like for example, refunds, right? Then they will be, more, they can understand better the situation, and you will be able to set the expectations. So it's really just a matter of setting the expectations and proper communication. All right? Thank you very much, Melody.
Absolutely. Like it was mentioned earlier, it's all about relationship building and being transparent from the get-go. All right, we've got another question from Aras Armin. Tourism and hospitality was hit very hard by COVID. What advice can you give to hoteliers, restaurateurs, and tourism employees to better recover from this pandemic?
Thank you very much, Aras, for that question. Indeed, the hospitality and tourism industry has been hit, if not the most, amongst all sectors. Now, what can we do really right now? We have, as George mentioned earlier, it is the same storm, but we're in a different boat. We're not experiencing the storm the same way as everybody are, right? So what do? It depends on you, right? So just to share with you my experience, right? So what we did, just to go ahead and pivot, from the situation. Our business is a management consultancy business, and we're traveling to different parts of the country to conduct training. Now, given the pandemic, we were all held to a halt where we can't do anything about it. But what do? Do you just go ahead and stop and cry and not do anything? You don't. You try to do as much as you can of the situation. And ourselves, what we did is that we had to evolve, right? We had to innovate into digital learning platforms such as nowadays we have Zoom, we have online, we have StreamYard, we
This
have YouTube.
360-degree
right?
virtual learning, you mean?
Exactly. So there you go. It's really a matter of innovation. You have to understand first why you're going to be doing what you need to do, and then you evolve from it. And that is, I think, the way to go. There is no one-size-fits-all solution as to how we're going to evolve. But if you have more questions, please go ahead and message us in our Facebook page. Yes. We can help you out. And this is the best time that everybody helps each other out. Thank you.
There you have it. I believe that is the last question for this afternoon. I know that there are some more that you guys want to raise, but we have such little time. So once again, thank you so much, Mr. Martin Aguilar. Ayan, ganyan. All right, it was such a pleasure learning from a leader like you, and it's so inspiring to hear about top-notch Filipino service, a brand of its own, definitely a league of its own. Truly, service and hospitality are needed in the tourism industry. Ayan, ladies and gentlemen, before I call on our next guest, I want to know, ang dami kasing there were 7 M's that Mr. Aguilar mentioned. Which among the 7 M's do you think you resonate with more? Ayan, let us see. I brought our phone here para lang I can see your answers today. Ayan, we are starting to get answers. We will be reading that in a bit. And grab it. I super love the service excellence that he mentioned, that as Filipinos, we are consistently meeting and surpassing the client's needs to be able to provide them a memorable and a fun experience, no? And iba talaga, sabi nga nila, people go to the Philippines because of all the wonderful things to see, but they stay in the Philippines because of the people. All right, so hindi ba we are all proud today and always to be Pinoy? Of course, today's program would not be complete without hearing from yet another pillar in the Department of Tourism. To share with us his thoughts and insights is the Department of Tourism's very own Assistant Secretary for Tourism Development Planning and now Officer in charge of the Office of the Undersecretary for Tourism Regulation, Coordination, and Resource Generation, or the TRCRG. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Roberto P. Alabada III. A round of applause.
Mayang hapon, mayad na hapon, magandang hapon po. This afternoon has been a very wonderful learning experience for all of us. As we close our first Leadership Excellence Series session for 2021, I would like to acknowledge the Department of Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, for her wonderful leadership in steering the tourism industry towards recovery and hope, especially through the implementation of this hybrid learning program. Surely, we live in unprecedented times of challenge, but we are here not just for these strategies to thrive, but we must be unprecedented as well. We should not fear the change brought about by the new normal. Change should spur us to innovate courageously and to be our best through our service hospitality. It is because of this that I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude to Regional Director Woodrow Makiling Jr. of the Department of Tourism, National Capital Region, congratulations, and Fernando Rojas of Dr. Andrew L. Tan, Center for Tourism, Asian Institute of Management, for positioning these two topics, hospitality and service, as pivotal for the tourism industry to rise from any slump, deficit, or loss caused by COVID-19. Secretary Romulo Puyat opened this afternoon with a question: what are the ways we can satisfy the needs of today's tourists? This is a crucial question because the heart of tourism is, and will always be, the people we serve. With George Royeca's insight, we were able to see the importance of health protocols and the measures needed in our businesses to safeguard against the pandemic. We cannot let our guards down when it comes to the protection of our customers and our own working teams. We must champion health and security and see this need as one of the country's foremost priorities in this new normal. People have been taking risks outside their homes lately and most likely will increase their forays outside. Therefore, let us be worthy of that risk. We must be prepared to answer hybrid shifts of work at home and work outside, eat at home and eat outside, play at home and play outside. We must see them as opportunities for the innovation of our services. Furthermore, we must be open to using digital tools for proper documentation and assessment in our businesses. Again, we must not let our guards down. Rather, we must encourage people not to fear when they entrust themselves to our care. With Martin Aguilar's discussion on the Filipino brand of excellence, we were able to glean wisdom on what Hospitality 2.0 means. Filipinos have always been known to be hospitable people, but there will always be room for us to improve and elevate our care for our customers and clients to a higher level. The principles shared by Mr. Aguilar this afternoon are meant to be exercised in the following days, not just stay as mere words to tickle our ears. No, for it is definitely possible to be excellent in our service. It is definitely possible to leave an indelible mark on our customers that this is the Filipino way. This is the Filipino brand of service, and this is excellent. As we continue to face a world of uncertainty, one thing we can remember is that we always have the choice to pick ourselves up from the onslaught of pandemic. We can work together to make industry recover. We can choose to be creative, to innovate our businesses, to make an opportunity out of our crisis. It may be uncomfortable at first, yes, but success comes when we have the courage to step forward and do what we must do. As I end, I would like to congratulate everyone who has taken part in the Leadership Excellence Seminar 2021, a 360-degree virtual learning from viewers all over the Philippines, and to the staff and creative team physically present here in this hotel room or otherwise. Kudos to the Department of Tourism. Kudos to our National Capital Region Department of Tourism Office for yet another high caliber offering to the Filipino people. Like what we always say in DOT, tourism is everybody's business. Hence, it is our job, you and I, to make the tourism business our country's success story once more. Let us believe in this and work at our own 360-degree turnaround as we allow for 2021 to be the best story yet. Mabuhay tayong lahat.
you so much for sharing your thoughts, Assistant Secretary Roberto Alabado III. Thank you so much for your unwavering service and, of course, the efforts of the Department of Tourism, which never cease to find ways and progressive solutions for the nation during this pandemic. We are optimistic that better days are indeed coming for the Philippines and Philippine tourism as well. There you have it. We hope that you were all encouraged and inspired by our hybrid training program today. Some valuable takeaways from Mr. George Rueca, one of the founders of ANCAS, who spoke about health protocols and how they've improved their health protocols for the riding public and what we must do to ensure the safety of our customers. Truly, this is something that the Filipino brand of service must carry as we move forward in this new normal. We also learned so much from Mr. Martin Aguilar, the ASEAN Master Assessor, founder and chief consultant of the Filipino hospitality. We learned what the Filipino brand of service looks like, and if there is a new normal, then elevating our hospitality and service to a level 2.0 must be our new normal. So before we close, I would like to announce once again that the Andrew L. Tan Center for Tourism will be holding an academic program in April and May. This is called the Bootstrapping a Sustainable Future Tourism online program. So the objective of this bootstrapping is to help tourism organizations and enterprises reboot from the pandemic. For inquiries, please contact the Andrew L. Tan Center for Tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you enjoyed and learned well from our 2 hours of big ideas, intelligent discourse, and inspiring talks. That is the Leadership Excellence Series 2021, a 360-degree virtual learning. This is just the first of 3 in the series of 2021. The second one is happening on the 1st of March. The third will happen on the 17th, so make sure that you tune into our social media accounts for announcements. Yes, 2021 is the year of our greatest success story, yet let us claim it. If you think that some of your friends might have wanted to be here with us this afternoon, but they couldn't, don't worry. They can still catch up with the conversation by downloading the Leadership Excellence Series 2021, a 360 virtual learning on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Stay tuned to the DOT NCR social media channels for more updates. And again, on behalf of the Department of Tourism, Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, Undersecretary Roberto P. Alabado III, and RDRR Makiling, this has been your Miss Tourism Worldwide 2018, Zara Carbonell, saying see you soon from Okada, Manila. And that will be on March 1, 2 to 4 p.m. in the next Leadership Excellence Series 2021. Thank you and mabuhay.
This is our home, and we're doing our best to keep it safe and free from harmful elements. So how do we ensure that your next visit here will be truly safe and memorable? Simple. We went back to our roots to find out what makes Okada Manila special. Okada Manila is grounded on Magokoro, or a true heart that's dedicated to service. Fusing the finest of Filipino and Japanese hospitality, we have built a world-renowned destination. Now, our core principle is put to action as we adopt a comprehensive system designed to keep you safe and healthy. We call it 3T, which stands for True Clean, True Safe, True Heart. With True Clean, we use the leading edge in technology to sanitize critical areas, from UV robots to walk-through disinfection tunnels. We have even innovated in how well we sanitize the smallest we know only of one thing: to give you a place that even in these challenging times, you can call your home.
New normal, same old story? Live the story you want at Okada Manila. Begin yours now. Experience a new chapter in Okada Manila's unwavering commitment to your total comfort, safety, and satisfaction. So, where do you want to begin? How about a marvelous meal for starters? A refreshing dip in the pool, perhaps? A well-deserved pampering is definitely in order. Ready for some shopping? Enjoy cashless transaction using Okada Pay. How about some fun and games? Or just wander around. Savor the sights. Get lost in the spectacle that is Okada Manila. That is, if you can resist the temptation to just stay in. Do as you desire. It is your story, and it's going to be great. Because at Okada Manila, there's one constant normal. This is where great stories begin.
We had a deliberation before arranging with AIM about the seminar. First, we'd like to get a capability program for assets management sector, something about business development planning, and we arrived at getting this prestigious school with high standards and highly educated faculty. And my expectations are that they will deliver what is expected of them, that we will be given new knowledge, additional skills, and learning experiences based on their case method teaching, wherein we use their actual projects as case studies.
My experience so far has done me a very good insight into what we're into right now. Sabi ko nga, it should have come earlier than now, but there is nothing really delayed in everything. It's a wonderful experience actually for me and for my staff at corporate planning, because at corporate planning, we're into everything. We should be a part of the whole organization in whatever it undertakes.
I actually hope that once we get back to our office, I would have a more dynamic, more creative team who would have a wider view of the business development side of our assets. As to the teaching approach in this workshop, to be honest, most of the participants were away from the academic sphere for quite some time. But I think the approach applied in this workshop is most appropriate. It's very open, and I'm happy that the participants or my employees have been very active in the discussions.
What do I think of the teaching method of AIM? It is the case method. I think it's very functional, very practical, and applicable to our tourism development projects. And we will start using this from now on.
Nice collaborating with the other departments. As we have known in this course, it is not only our department who is in charge of the tourism program.
Overall, it's a very insightful and a great learning experience for us, especially in the government sector. And I'm happy that I'm a part of it.
As a cultural worker of the city government of Makati, I am very much appreciative of how AIM is equipping us with the right knowledge, skills, and the framework to actually deepen our understanding of Makati's tourism potential and working towards making that potential work for the development of Makati.
It actually helped me to mold my perspective in achieving goals and to become a better version of myself.
In the last 2019 elections, I ran on the platform of tourism, focusing on medical, business, and educational tourism in the city of Makati. AIM is definitely helping the city government of Makati achieve this through our tourism development plan.
Through this program, I was able to explore more, like thinking outside the box. I learned to be more creative in a way in terms of decision making.
So I'm very grateful for this experience. Definitely we will take home a lot from this course, and I just hope that there will be other opportunities in the future for public servants like me to interact with the academy.